Hello, everyone, to all Bondens, and welcome to a new edition of the Bondex Livestream. I think this will be the last one we have in March, and we're very lucky. We have Mike Gault here from Guardtime. He's actually calling us from Abu Dhabi. He's one of the Web3 pioneers in that area of the world, and he's here to talk about all talent related things, in particular related to his company Guardtime. To give you a short preview, Guardtime, its platform enables real-world enterprise applications to be available using blockchain technology. Enterprise adoption of blockchain technology remains extremely limited, primarily as outside of innovation departments, nobody cares about technology, only the business problems that it can solve. Blockchain is a critical component in all of the enterprise solutions, but as the backend for creating tokens that enables our clients to solve business problems. Guardtime platform enables tokens to be created using public blockchain technology, but verified and acted on off-chain and real-world application tokenization of real assets. And you have over 10 years of track record, and you've successfully deployed this technology across many enterprises. And to finish before I let you go, Mike, this is exactly what's needed for mass adoption. Enterprise, there's so many arguments, there's kind of religious factions across Web3, but at the end of the day, corporations around the world, and if they adopt blockchain, then we're going to get the Web3 future that we want, right? It's about good people that sustainably implement those technologies there. So I love your mission and your vision and your track record so far. And Mike, without further ado, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Guardtime in your own words, and then we'd love to find out more about yourself.
Yeah, sure thing, and thank you for having me today. So yeah, Mike, we founded Guardtime over 10 years ago in Estonia. We've actually, we've been active in protocol development really since the start of the crypto industry. I met my co-founder in Tokyo. We were doing our PhDs together. And he worked in an incubator looking at virtual currencies in the mid 2000s. And rather than creating a virtual currency, we went back to Estonia and we created something for the Estonian government to help with their cybersecurity. And so the idea was we would tokenize data. And so you can have government records in a database. It could be configuration files in a Cisco router. And we'd create tokens for that data, and you could verify the properties of the data without a trusted authority. So you didn't need to rely on system administrators or cryptographic keys. Just use pure math to verify the properties of the data. That's how we got started, and we've been building protocols ever since.
I can't believe I'm talking to the person that led the Estonian government protocol, because it's world class, and it's a world class project, and that's why Estonia is spearheading adoption at an institutional level and a government level. I have one question for you. Do you have ballpark the number of savings cost-wise that your technology has been able to provide that government?
I can tell you what Estonia has saved in digitization. And so it's not just blockchain, but it's 2% of GDP. Estonia has never seen a fax machine, right? When Estonia regained independence in 1991, they had no legacy infrastructure, and they were able to build everything from scratch. And the internet, of course, in 91 was just starting. So they have this real cutting edge approach to technology. And part of that was because of their ability to start off with a fresh, clean page.
2% of GDP. Imagine if we can apply that to other countries of the world. You could lower taxes or actually destined those savings to programs that need it more, right?
Yeah. Do you know how they calculated that number? They literally just spent how much time do people deal with sending documents around and dealing with paper? Because if you have purely digital, one thing's really important. Estonia is the only country in the world where a majority of the citizens use digital signatures on a daily basis, right? So PKI, everyone has a smart card, and they're able to use those digital signatures to sign documents. No other country has succeeded in this. And indeed, one of the common jokes about Web3 is it's finally taught Americans about how to use public and private key pairs, right? So there's a lot of lessons we can learn from Estonia about how to apply Web3 technologies to real world problems.
But especially at the government level, right? Verification and identity is such an important thing. There's so much money wasted on that they could be turning around. The government could be monetizing corporations could be requesting the government for proof of identity and other things, right? And they could charge for it and actually then stop charging as many taxes to citizens. I mean, that's just one idea that comes off the top of my head, right? That's an incredible application. Estonia should be the blueprint that a lot of other countries should be following.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
They're
go ahead.
starting to do, in Estonia, we're starting to do a lot of things related to verifiable credentials, right? So you have your national ID, but why do I need to show that to get into a bar? It's the canonical example, right? I can prove I'm over 18, but without having to expose all my credentials, right? And so these examples of verifiable credentials, which are on-chain identity, I think will lead the next innovations in identity. And there's a lot going on in Web3 around identity as well.
Well, I hope that we can have a chat offline after this because we're gonna need some identity, capabilities for Bondex. We've now reached over 4 million downloads and users, and we're thinking about ways to make it easy for those users to enable verification and something very important as well, reputation. Right? We were talking about it earlier, but I think we're going towards a world in which reputation should be your currency in a way, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As a CEO of a company, and we're still relatively small, we have about 130 employees worldwide. A lot of remote work is done, and the hiring process today is just so broken. Putting ads on LinkedIn is hopeless, and the number of when I go onto LinkedIn, and it's just all it is fake bots pretending to be full stack developers looking to try and catch me and get a referral fee. So we have to do better than that for recruitment. And if you have verifiable credentials, if you have online reputation that is linked to that identity, we should be able to put out a list of projects that we need at any level of granularity. And we should have people be able to come in and do that work without having to disclose their identity, and they're able to get paid for that work in a way that doesn't require them to show up at a bank and disclose their identity as well.
We could not be more aligned. And beyond LinkedIn, you should see all the freelancer marketplace also ripe with fraud and just, it's just the wild west when it comes to the validation of credentials and skills. So we need better talent infrastructure to enable more trust and so that parties can exchange their talent, time, compensation in a more secure manner. And that's the Bondex mission, and everything you've said we're very aligned with. But I don't want to take the spotlight away. I would like to know a little bit more about AlphaBill, which I know is
Yeah.
one of your latest projects. So I know it's a new layer one protocol that you guys have been building, redesigning basically blockchain technology from its first original principles, which makes sense because as we've all learned, whether Ethereum or Bitcoin, it's not scalable, it's too expensive. There's layer ones, twos, three. If there's a layer 2, 3, 4, 5, that maybe means that the layer one wasn't that great to begin with. And that's just a debate, not a complete
Yeah.
opinion. Please, no one kill me here. But please tell us more about AlphaBill. What makes it unique? What is it, and what makes it unique?
Yeah, so it is a layer one protocol. It is a decentralized, permissionless public blockchain, and it has some unique properties. I'll talk about the sort of the technology side first, but most interestingly is the use cases. So there's maybe 100 layer ones: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Polkadot, etc. All of them use either UTXOs like Bitcoin or accounts like Ethereum as the transaction unit, right? How do you represent value? And the problem with that is every transaction involves more than two transaction units. So if you have an account-based model like Ethereum, when you do a payment, there are two accounts, right? One goes up, one goes down, balance. But when you do it with bills, right? If you have bills in your wallet, $10 bills, and you go into a coffee shop and buy a coffee with a $10 bill, the only thing that changes during that transaction is the ownership of the bill, right? There's no coordination needed between different units. And when someone gives you a $10 bill, you don't care about everyone else's money. You care about that $10 bill. And so this is the principle behind Alpha Bill. It's a blockchain that's based on bills. And the most important implication is not the technology, it's the use case that you can mint a token on chain and verify it off chain, even offline. And the problem with blockchain is people go into an enterprise and they talk about blockchain. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your
No,
scalable blockchain.
nobody cares how the sausage is made. They just want the magic of the features technology can provide. Couldn't agree more.
So we have a really different view on blockchain. We think it's infrastructure that's deep underground, that's used to create tokens, which can be used in the real world, almost like physical cash, right? You have physical cash in your pocket and you can use that to do things. And Alpha Bill is the digital equivalent of that. So I'll give you one example. We've been working with AstraZeneca, and we created tokens on chain for medicine, right? So you can have, let's say, it's a vaccine, and today they do what's called serialization. So they serialize that vaccine by creating a unique code for each vaccine. What you can do is you can create a token that links to that vaccine, that code. And it means that as that vaccine goes through its supply chain until it gets to a frontline care worker in Ghana, everyone can verify that that's the correct vaccine and where has it been from. But nobody
Because
needs to know about blockchain. We
because
don't.
how many fake vaccines and fraud and EU members hiding it in factories, and no
Yeah,
one needs and sorry to have interrupt. No one needs to know it's blockchain. They're just using it, but the blockchain runs in the background and provides them that incredible value, right?
absolutely. But the way this has been approached with blockchain, the way people think about blockchain to date is wrong, because you need to set up smart contracts and you need to go back to the blockchain in order to do anything. But if you're in Ghana in a hospital and you receive some vaccines, you know nothing about blockchain. And so trying to, it's just the mindset of blockchain developers is a bit off, I think, and we need to change that.
They're just not building for consumer adoption, putting themselves in their shoe of someone that's not a niche early adopter, right? And that's part of the issue why there hasn't been mass adoption. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. I'm incredibly excited about what you're telling me about. And if you had to compare it real quick with other layer ones, like what is the principle about? I mean, you've already explained some of it. Compare it to me to the Ethereum. Why is this a different, better layer one?
Yeah, Vitalik made a decision in 2016 to use accounts, right? So go into Ethereum, you create an account, and that has a balance. In Alphabill, there are no accounts. There are only assets, only tokens. And those tokens can be used off chain. They can be used in the real world. So it's really about the use cases that this technology enables. I think, when people think NFTs today, they think digital collectibles, right? They think JPEGs and whatever. When I hear the word NFT, I think about digital certificates. In other words, you can have a token for any type of data. And so the future is not digital collectibles, but every piece of data, your email, your data that you create on a daily basis, that will have an NFT. And so it's every digital asset, every physical asset, and every financial asset will ultimately be tokenized. And that enables you to verify the properties. It enables you to change ownership without having a centralized authority saying what is true and what is false.
And now that all these banks are collapsing, the narrative for that, and I mean, it's more powerful than ever. And it also allows for the democratization of ownership to the internet, right? We went from consuming the internet to then creating things on the internet, but the publishers and data monopolies own it to actually an ownership iteration of the internet, right? And that tokenization enables that, and
Absolutely.
with traceability and transparency. Man,
Yeah.
we're very aligned.
Yeah, it's true. The big value for Web3 is certainly putting data back in the hands of consumers and giving them control over it. I'm quite happy to watch an ad, but we can make that my choice explicit into the protocols itself. We're completely unaware to the users. They don't need to know about blockchain. They don't need to download NFTs, whatever. If you can integrate the technology into the actual internet application layer protocols, it should just be available and easy to use for anyone.
It's so funny you say that, because the way that we've approached it at Bondex, because we're having such a large user base and our community is a real stakeholder in the success of the network. One point, this captive audience will be valuable to advertisers, but we want to make sure we have individual sovereignty. So the users will choose if and how their data is monetized, what type of advertising they will be exposed to, and we will share the revenue with them over that. So I think
Yeah,
that's one of the applications
ownership
we're
model.
working on.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and you can give ownership to all the users, and give them a say in how the platform develops.
Exactly. What are other beyond what we've talked about? We touched healthcare, traceability, ownership, advertising. What are some of the other kind of use cases for Alphabet?
I think possibly one of the biggest ones is security. This was the use case we started off with in Estonia, right? If you think about data today, right? Let's say it's a configuration file in your computer, right? That's just ones and zeros. Data today is not verifiable, right? And so, but if you think about a network is a set of digital assets, right? It's configuration files, it's binaries, it's software, it's all the digital assets on a network. If you tokenize those, you can change how you think about security. The way security works today is we have a network, we're going to do a search, we're going to go all across the network and look for vulnerabilities. But if you tokenize the data, you have a mechanism to give you mathematical guarantees about the integrity of the network as a whole. So,
Mike, I mean, you know what you're talking about. Can I ask what type of doctor you are? What's your doctorate in?
yeah, I did a PhD in engineering, and then I did a postdoc in Japan on designing quantum computers.
Well, that makes sense why you're so smart and so knowledgeable since you've been in this space for so long. Very super impressive. And now I'd like to talk about one last thing, which is more related to Bondex. And I love your project. By the way, to all the audience and everyone that watches the replay after, there's some juicy career opportunities at Guardtime. I recommend all of you go check out their careers page. They're a globally distributed team. They have an office in Abu Dhabi and other places of the world as well as Estonia. So I recommend you all look at it because, as you can see, it's run by a very smart person. They're working on some really incredible problems that are going to enable mass adoption. I want to know, when you're looking for your team and how to build your team, what are you looking for? What are the skills? What are the aptitudes you look for in the people you let join your company?
Yeah, especially for remote people, it's being able to communicate, and coordinate with the other team members. First of all, I'd say blockchain is one of the most exciting areas to work in these days because it's multidisciplinary, right? You have like if you're a protocol engineer at Guardtime, you need to know distributed systems, you need to know cryptography, you need to know mathematics, you need to know um, economics, right? Because these protocols are not just pure technology. You really need to have a crypto economic understanding of how the protocol works, game theory. So it's one of the most exciting fields, I think, to work in these days. And the things that we look for is we have a distributed team. So being able to use all the tools available to remote workers in order to collaborate on a task is really critical, especially given people can be working all across the world in different time zones. So it is challenging, but you can really, and you can really, the tools today have really advanced, with Discord and with Slack and with all the different developer tools. You can really build a remote team and make it work successfully.
Very, very complete answer. And Mike, we're now at the end of our live stream today, but I just want to thank you very, very much for your time today, for educating us about that. And to be honest, and this is not exaggeration, we've had a lot of people here, a lot of amazing companies, but this is one of the most robust use cases and missions that I've seen across all the projects I've talked to. So congratulations on the process. And anything you want to say to the audience before we depart?
Yeah, no, it's real pleasure having. Thank you so much for having me on. And if anybody's interested in, we are hiring at Guard Time. It's some of the most fascinating work in protocol development, the front end engineers. It is remote. Most of our talent is based in Estonia, and it's an open source project. Super exciting. If you're interested, please check it out. Alphabuild.org.
Fantastic. Go check them out and follow them on Instagram as well. Thank you very much. And thank you to all Bondens for assisting one of our latest live streams. I'll be seeing you on the next one. And have a great day.
All right. Thanks very much.
Bye bye.